In this video I'm going to show you how to sum series by the method of differences. It's a clever little method, this one. So here's one we can do by this method: sum from 1 to 30 of 1 over r times r plus 1. And the first thing we do is to write it in partial fractions. So I've got something that's r plus 1. I'm going to keep the sum as it is. And I'm going to rewrite 1 over r times r plus 1 in partial fractions. And what we get is that this is 1 over r minus 1 over r plus 1. You can check that that works. We'll look at partial fractions if you're not sure how to do that. But these two expressions are equivalent. And this is where we notice that the method of differences is going to be useful. I've got this r and r plus 1 and this subtraction sign here. And what we can see here is that a lot of stuff here is going to cancel when we do the sum. So I'm going to start writing this out longhand. So I put r equals 1 in, and I get 1 over 1 minus 1 over 2. And then I add on, for the next one, r equals 2, 1 over 2 minus 1 over 3. Put in r equals 3 and I get plus 1 over 3 minus 1 over 4. What you can see here is that the terms, the r plus 1 term from putting in r equals 1 cancels with the r term from putting in r equals 2. And that continues through here. So those cancel out, and everything's going to cancel out until we get down to the end here. And let's just think about what the last two terms are here. Then I'm going to put in 29, and I'll get 1 over 29 minus 1 over 30, and then finally I'll get, for the last term, plus 1 over 30 minus 1 over 31. So that's the r equals 30 term. So so this 29 will have cancelled 1 here, minus a quarter will have cancelled, those cancel, and I'm just left with 1 over 1, which is 1, minus 1 over 31. So 1 minus a 31st, so that's 30 over 31. And in fact, if I wanted to do the sum up to n instead of just up to 30, we'd do exactly the same thing. I'm going to start by putting in 1, 2, 3, etc. Let's just think about the terms we get at the end. So when I put in n minus 1, I'll have 1 over n minus 1 minus 1 over n minus 1 plus 1, so 1 over n. And when I put in n, I'll get plus 1 over n minus 1 over n plus 1. So this one will have cancelled with some term before it. These two cancel. And I'm just left with, overall then, let's write it here, 1 minus 1 over n plus 1, which is n over n plus 1. So that's the method of differences. For a slightly more complex example, we could take this one. Again, if we write this in partial fractions, what we get, you can check, is 2 over r minus 3 over r plus 1 plus 1 over r plus 2. And exactly the same argument applies here. I'm going to start by putting in r equals 1, and I'll get 2 over 1 minus 3 over 2 plus 1 over 3. Then when I put in r equals 2, I'm going to get plus 2 over 2 minus 3 over 3 plus 1 over 4. When I put in r equals 3, I'm going to get plus 2 over 3 minus 3 over 4 plus 1 over 5. I could keep going. I'll get plus 2 over 4 minus 3 over 5 plus 1/6. And it's a more complex cancellation here, but we can see that I've got 1/3 minus 3/3 and plus 2/3. All the ones with 3 on the denominator there cancel out. 1, 2 minus 3. All the ones with 4 here will cancel out. So so again, all of these terms will cancel out, apart from these first 3 here, and the ones that we get at the end. So let's get rid of all of these. I'll keep these ones that I need to keep, and think about what happens when we get to the last few terms here. So in fact, let me write that 2 over 2 up here, so I've got plenty of... And when we get down to the last 3 terms, so I'm going to see what... So I'll start with what happens when we put in n minus 2. We'll get 2 over n minus 2 minus 3 over n minus 1 plus 1 over n. Now, the next term will be n minus 1 going in here, so I'm going to get plus 2 over n minus 1 minus 3 over n, and then plus 1 over n plus 1. That's what I get when I put n minus 1 in place of r. And then the final term, when I put n in, I get plus 2 over n, still running out of space, minus 3 over n plus 1, and then final term plus 1 over n plus 2. So, so we see here that, again, well, these will have cancelled with something above it, these will have cancelled. The last one that cancels here is 1, 2 and minus 3, the n term, and so I've just got these 3 other terms left here, so I get plus 1 over n plus 1 minus 3 over n plus 1 plus 1 over n plus 2. And just simplifying this down a little bit then, these numbers all combine to give 3 over 2, these two combine to give minus 2 over n plus 1, and then I've got plus 1 over n plus 2. If you wanted to, you could combine those into a single fraction, but we've essentially done this sum by the method of differences. A quite sort of surprising result that you can sum that so easily, and a very neat trick. It is a trick, it doesn't work in tons of series, but it's a neat and useful tool.